Hi, and good evening, everyone. My name is Albert, and this is Vlogs About Nothing. Thank you very much for taking the time out of your very busy Sunday night to join me. I really appreciate that. Bienvenidos. That means welcome, in case you didn't know. The language I just used is Spanish, in case you didn't know. Remember, I'm working on my Spanish, so little bits and pieces of me throughout going forward are just gonna kind of blurred out Spanish, but it's kind of this whole thing that got going on in my mind, and it's really hard because I'm really trying to immerse myself, so I often find myself not talking in English when I want to be, if that makes sense. Anyways, I'm really going through with this thing, so I want to talk tonight about medical tourism. And I know it's kind of a little nerdy one, but kind of get back to our roots of the program, with vlogs about nothing. Sometimes we do talk about some things. Whether or not you listen or people listen or anyone cares is entirely up to y'all. You feel me? And I feel like, in an ironic sort of twist of things, the majority of my audience does care about these issues. And so that's kind of what I'm here for, your entertainment, and to, sort of be that subtle reminder that we do live in a nation that is just one of a handful that doesn't have universal health care. And so obviously that's a big part of an underlying issue that is systemic in all of its characteristics as it concerns a root cause for a problem that is beyond a problem, right? And so medical tourism, in the whole light of living in a world where we live in a country that is by far the most developed, by far the most financially well off, and still don't have universal health care. Sort of frustrating, but a different video. I want to talk tonight about medical tourism. So, medical tourism, and I brought up the United States and their lack of universal basic health care because medical tourism involves going to different countries to get pretty much basic healthcare that would otherwise be paid for by the government. Yours truly. You feel me? Uncle Sam and Uncle Anthony out there writing checks out to everyone and anyone except for people that actually could use those funds to better their life and empower, the kind of freedom principle, more than just kind of an American dream, but an American reality. And so people go to Cuba, for example, all the time. Rich Americans flee to communist run Cuba to receive health care there. Or will recruit doctors out of Cuba to come to America. And it's all the same thing. Anytime you travel to a different country to get services that you should arguably be able to get right down the street, it's kind of a big jump, right? I mean, seriously, it's a problem. I think it's a problem because it inherently discriminates against the people who have no funds or resources to go to another country to get the health care that, again, should be afforded to them at no charge by the clinic down the street, much less a different country. So, I mean, you can imagine, in and of itself, it's got to be a pretty costly thing, right? I mean, getting a passport in today's day and age, and then having the ability and the free time to get the tickets to go and to plan out an appointment. And I mean, God, can you imagine going down to Cuba for a scheduled appointment and your doctor's not feeling well that day? I mean, and these things happen. There's actually many stories of many different people that go all out of their way and find themselves in predicaments because when they get there, if the doctor doesn't show up or if it is a scam, which kind of is another big part of medical tourism, and we'll get into that, it benefits nobody, right? It's a zero-sum game. Everybody gets kind of screwed over in the process, and it's not good. So all I'm saying is that if there's something or anything that you take away from this video, it's that the need for universal healthcare is so great that people with money, what is it, a rich people problem, get sent to, they're going to different countries to receive different services. Again, we live in a really messed up world where there's a portion of the population that trends on social media for traveling to different countries to beautify their already, beautiful selves or whatever, right? I'm just saying that, like, it's kind of odd that we live in a country where at the dinner table we're more likely to have a conversation about one of the Kardashians going to some foreign country to receive some crazy surgery. That, again, and that's not factual or in anything, a slander in her type of way. That's just like the standard of beauty, right? How a person ascertains that beauty is, entirely up to that person, you feel me, and what we perceive to be beautiful and all those things. All I'm saying is that there are also millions of people here in this country who, our mortality rate is pretty high for like end of life, and not to mention that, minority populations and historically overlooked, marginalized people, including not well-to-do white people, often suffer from a higher mortality rate because of the lack of resources here within our own country. You feel me? Like, much less have the opportunity to go to a different country to receive any type of medical treatment. I mean, we live in a country where it's a known hack that if you are on a donor, if you're waiting for, a kidney transplant, for example, my grandfather, he was waiting on a kidney transplant, on the kidney transplant list for close to 20 years. I mean, that list is long. And the dude was a healthy guy, he had, kidney failure as a result of anabolic steroid usage, like the long-term usage of them, you feel me? And all I'm saying is that, like, the guy was on a kidney transplant list for close to 20 years and still ended up dying waiting for a kidney, you feel me? So, like, I'm just saying that, there are a lot bigger problems to address here domestically within, for everybody's betterment, as opposed to just like a few small select people going out of the country to get medical services. So, medical services, like we talked about fraud just a couple of minutes ago. So that's a big thing that's happening. Link in the description, by the way, to a couple of videos that go into greater detail about the problem that medical tourism brings with it. But there are stories, and there's a story within one of the videos, link in the description below, that tells of a woman who goes down to Mexico to get some work done, and, she shows up and she ends up getting scammed and kidnapped. You feel me? Like, I mean, Americans are pretty high on the list for people that, stand out in crowds when they travel around the world to begin with, right? I mean, much less going to a different country to receive these services. It's asking for trouble. There's a lot of conflict of interest. Until the entire world is on the same page as it concerns basic healthcare, then there's always going to be somebody with a leveraged position over somebody else to ultimately exploit them, or to have the potential, like the potentiality for that to happen. You feel me? So it's better to just stay away from it, I would say, and it's probably better just to work on our own infrastructure as it concerns providing basic coverage for all of the citizens here in America. I mean, that's a good place to start. But medical tourism is not healthy. It's not good. Not to mention that, there is a very healthy black market, and we've talked about this before, and it's the darker side of, organ theft, and the fact that there's a market for organs. So because I guess there's a market for it, and there's no infrastructure within any sort of government that regulates the practice of organ donors and donor lists and the formality of them. I mean, it's a crazy, scary world as it concerns, like, our bodies. And remember, they are in fact our bodies. You feel me? Like, contrary to what any authoritarian or fascist government wants to tell you, your body does belong to you. And so it is kind of cringe to think about all of the different things that are a problem simply because of medical tourism and ergo, like the lack of universal basic health care within the most developed country in the entire world. You feel me? Like, yeah, there's going to be problems globally when the people who are supposed to be leading this whole experiment aren't even on the same page as everybody else because of our failure to want to do anything for our constituents other than to profit from them. And again, in all ways possible. Like, it's crazy. From birth to death, profit, 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 profit. At what point do we ask ourselves what has intrinsic value and what doesn't? And a fiat economic system run under a perverted sort of ideology of a capitalistic kind of way that has far gone from a free market principle doctrine into something that is contrived and exploited and manipulated. And I don't see any benefit in any of those things. That's all that I'm saying. So, like, medical tourism, thumbs down. You shouldn't have to go anywhere else to receive any type of healthcare, any type of treatment. Then you should just be able to do it from the comfort and, like, the close confinement and security of our arbitrary borders and our infrastructure that we have here in America. And it's unfortunate that entire industries exist based on this very principle. The principle being the lack of basic healthcare here in this country, and the idea that profit is put before patient care. And I just don't see how any of those things make sense. And I don't think how, like, I don't understand how rational people in any kind of way from any walk of life would think in any different way than that. I mean, it's different to have an opinion when you can pay for your medical bills, and moreover when there's nothing wrong with you, because you're not paying any of the money that you could pay on medical bills. Like, good for you, great, you're healthy, that's cool, I'm happy for you. Now look out your window, look out into the world. There are many people that are not healthy. There are many people that suffer from diseases and things that could have been prevented if they had basic health care, or if they lived in a country that cared about them, right? Because currently we don't live in a country that cares about any of us other than the very people that are in charge of it. And I don't really feel like that's an interest for anybody other than the people that are running stuff right now. You feel me? And I didn't think that was America. And I don't think that medical tourism is a good thing for America. So, or at all, right? I mean, but moreover, I got to speak for Americans because I'm an American and we're here in America, and that's where things need to change. And obviously, when we do things, other countries do things. We elect a president that is a criminal. Other countries elect presidents that are criminals. We allow a criminal president to, fraudulently, like, exploit the entire constituency, and other countries then go ahead and exploit their entire constituency. See, so we do lead by example, and those are just two very recent examples of many examples that are things that go on in this world simultaneously as we have these talks. So, or I guess as I talk to myself here in my room to my phone that's disconnected. So I hope that you guys are very well. Thank you for entertaining me. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of your life. My name is Albert. This is Vlogs About Nothing. Have a really good night, all right? Bye.